would be a really fun game to do one of these days is to have a musician come up here and sing a song, and then give like a 5-minute talk on the song. Right? And then have a musician sing a song, and then somebody give a 5-minute talk on the song, right? Like an evening or a morning of musical theater, basically. Right? Well, I'm here today to talk about your invisible forces. That you, right here and right now, your mere presence on this planet is a gift. It's a gift that you are receiving as life works through you, for you, and as you, but it's also a gift you're giving as you take that life working for you, through you, and as you, and you send it out into the world. You are a means for which Source to express itself on this planet. You are a means for love to express into the world, for understanding, compassion, you name it. Source is doing its work through you right now. So without you, there would not only be an empty space in your chair, but there would be an empty space where all of the effects of every choice that you've ever made, there would be that void. We've all been making choices a long time, right? We've been spreading love and other things sometimes. Our greatest blessing is the awareness and the understanding of what it is we really are, of who we really are, of what it is that is working through us, for us, and as us. Our greatest blessing is when we have that understanding that we are Source energy expressing itself into this world, because Source is an everywhere present force. There is nothing that is made from something other than Source. Everything is made from Source. Everything we see, everything that is yet to be, that means we are also Source energy. And when we have that understanding, we can utilize our power in this world. We understand our influence in this world. And one of my girlfriends likes to say, you either serve as a shining example or you serve as a horrible warning. Right? Now, it's important for us to understand what's working through us, because when we don't understand this, it may not be light that we are putting out into the world, right? It may not be goodness. So the gifts of our divinity, the gifts of understanding that divinity, are what we have to receive and then to give. Now, we cannot give a gift that we are unaware of having. If we don't know we have it, we cannot give it. It's that, like the Rumi poem, what you seek is seeking you. Luckily, that is seeking to work through us. That is seeking to express through us. That love, that infinite creative force is already seeking to work through us. So all of those qualities that we're hoping for, they're just waiting on us. They're waiting on or they've given us the invitation. So all the forces of Source seeking to work through us are just waiting on us. Because Source is not looking to control us, to make us do things, to make us behave in a certain way. Because the adventure of a lifetime is to discover what it is that we're made of. That is the adventure of a lifetime. And we can only do that through freedom. Right? Our freedom to express that. So, I have an iPhone. Okay? And I'm talking about awareness. I've only been an iPhone user for 2 years. Before that, I was a Droid phone person. But my kids got an iPhone, and I wanted to be like them. So I got an iPhone too. Well, I make videos on my iPhone, and then I load them onto my website. And so one day I made this video, and it was 18 minutes. And what I usually do is I take my phone, I load it into an email message to myself, I then go to my computer, I open the message, and I load it from the computer. But on this particular day, my phone wouldn't send this email because it was too big. There was too much data. And so I'm holding my phone, I'm staring at my computer, which also happens to be an Apple product, right? I just took the dive. I went into the Apple universe all at once 2 years ago. And I'm looking at my phone, I'm looking at my computer, I'm like, how am I supposed to get this video onto my computer? And all of a sudden, my computer is doing that little spinning, the little icon is spinning, and it says it's receiving my video. And I'm like, this is magic. How is it doing this? What is this? And I look, and there's a little button on there called AirDrop. Well, it's been there all along, but I didn't know what it was, so I never used it. Literally, what you do is you press the AirDrop button, and it magically drops out of the air and onto your computer. But you love how technical I am, right? You understand me? The thing is, I'm trying to impart is that the AirDrop button was always on this phone. That capability was always there. It was not my phone's fault that I didn't figure this out in the first year that I owned it. It was completely operator error. So this awareness, this what's available to us is there. We just have to discover it, right? Like electricity. Electricity is a natural force. It's always been here. It was here in Moses' time, in Jesus' time, in Buddha's time. It's always been here. It was discovered, though. It was not invented. Somebody discovered something that was already there, a great power in this world. So I'm going to talk about two things that are invisible. There are invisible forces. The first one is grace. The element of grace or the power of grace. This took me a really long time to even get comfortable with. I wouldn't even say I've got a good understanding of it, but I've got a better understanding than I did before. But Ernest Holmes says that grace is the givingness of spirit to its creation. So whatever that force of grace is, it's giving itself. Well, then I found this Bible verse. I've read this before, 2 Corinthians 12:9, where the Lord says, "My grace is sufficient for you, my power made perfect in wholeness." Well, I was thinking about that. Not wholeness, I'm sorry. My power made perfect in weakness. Weakness. That was the kind of term they like to use 2,000 some odd years ago. So I was thinking, all right, if grace is sufficient, but grace is also the givingness of spirit to its creation, spirit is infinite, then that must mean that grace is exactly all that we need. It's everything we need. It's the only thing we need. All of it is right there within grace. Whatever it is that we could need, there's nothing beyond it. There's nothing that we can't receive from grace. It's perfectly sufficient. So what about the weakness? What about power being perfect in weakness? Well, I didn't really hear about this particular verse, but I've heard it mentioned before about the Bible. The weakness is not necessarily like being weak, it's being allowing. It's surrendering. So to have our power perfect in weakness, we surrender those faulty beliefs that we have about our personality or our failures or the limitations that we think we have. We surrender those so that we can become allowing and let that perfect power, that quality of grace, present itself to us in a way we can see it, because it's always giving itself to us, but we have to be able to see it. And to be able to see it, we have to surrender our small, fearful thinking to our higher thinking. So we see that it's there, always and ready. So grace is anything and everything we could ever need. It is available to us, we just have to allow it. It is a quality of source energy that we need right now. Any quality that we need. So I wrote up a few qualities that I thought for myself felt really good. Love, abundance, compassion, courage, authenticity, bliss, connection, belonging, clarity, faith, flexibility, freedom, friendship, strength, well-being, and peace. Those qualities all feel really good to me. And I think they would feel good to you too, right? They just feel good. So grace is the quality of spirit giving itself to us, saying, here it is. I have as much as you need. I have exactly what you need. Anything you need, I'm handing it to you. Open your eyes, right? Open that third eye. So grace is like the electricity. All of us have a home wired for electricity. We have many things plugged into this current. So we can each go home today and use the electricity however we need to use it. If we want to make a smoothie, we plug our blender in. If we want to do some laundry, if we want to binge on Netflix. Because that iPhone or iPad will have to be charged using electricity. Or our TV is plugged into electricity. So there it is, grace. Here, take what you need. I have exactly what you need. And I have as much as you could ever think you could need. Just be aware. Grace is the givingness of spirit to its creation. We are the creation. We are the creation. We are the vessel for that. The second invisible force is love. Now, love is also, by Ernest Holmes, defined as the self-givingness of spirit. But grace is the self-givingness of spirit to its creation. Love is the self-givingness of spirit, the desire of the soul to express itself in terms of creation. So love has more forward momentum, more energy. Grace is here, whatever you need, I have it for you. Just take whatever you need. Love is an impelling force. It is a creative urge to move through you, for you, as you, and it's the urge to create new experiences. That is love. So I pulled these out of the Science of Mind text. Love is spontaneous. At any moment, we can receive a divine inspiration from love. Love inspires us. Love puts that seed of desire into us. Any moment, we can get it. Usually a really great idea when we have nothing to write on, okay, in the shower, or when we're driving. But at any time, we can receive this seed of inspiration. Love is spontaneous, all right? So it's the what. Okay, when we do our affirmative prayer treatments, our Science of Mind treatments, our mental treatments, you know what I mean? Love is the what. But we're focusing on a what. Okay, so love also points the way. It gives us direction. It is the part of, there's that within me which knows what to do, how to do it, and compels me to act on what it knows. So love also gives us the how of how to get that what that we want, our happy outcome. It directs us. All we have to do is listen to it and act on it. Love is an eternal outpouring. It is a faucet with a constant stream of love through it. All we have to do is just turn it full blast, turn it down, whatever. We have control over that, but love is constantly outpouring, constantly wanting to express, desiring to express, seeking to express. It has an urge to move through us, creating. Now we can use as much of that as we want. We just have to be receptive. We can receive what we are receptive to. We can use as much as we can imagine we can use. Now this is not always the case. Do you know, often, I know for myself, sometimes what I want feels so big that I'm not actually open to that as an experience. Like for example, let's say somebody gets that inspiration to go live in Italy for 6 months. They want to immerse themselves in the culture. They want to eat the food. Maybe they've been learning the language and they want to practice using the language. So they think, wow, that's huge. That would be wonderful. But then, if they're not open to using it, they might think, you know, that might just be wishful thinking. Really, who just goes and moves to Italy for 6 months? Or it might be that it seems too hard. Oh yeah, I could go to Italy for 6 months, but you know, I'd have to work really hard, put in overtime. I might have to work for like 3 years before I could save enough money to support me over there for 6 months. Would I even have a job to come back to? Right? I could be really hard. I don't know if I could do that. Or sometimes we worry about what the people around us might think. Right, if I went to Italy for 6 months with my family, how would they handle that? How would they handle all their problems? I always take care of everything. What would they do without me for 6 months? My friends would forget about me and they would move on and do other things. And when I come back, I'd be a stranger. Oh, you know what? That's a pipe dream. That's really not for me. I could go to Palm Springs for a weekend though. My family would be okay with that. My friends would still love me. Sometimes that happens. We're not as open to receiving and using that love as we think we are. So there's plenty of it there. Now what's interesting is that if you have a desire to do something, there's been an inspiration planted in your mind, it was put there by source. It was put there by source energy, by the you that is a soul. Remember, love is the urge of the soul to express itself in terms of creation. Well, we're part of that too, right? We're in a body, and I really think that the body can't handle all the expansive thinking that we can do from a soul level, but from a soul level, we had a desire, and we threw it out there. It planted in the human part of the mind. Well, if the soul put it there, if love put it there, if source put it there, it'll take care of how to handle all of that, right? The how is not our problem. The how is not us. If source puts the inspiration in there, it's source's responsibility to provide the how. Then it's our responsibility to listen to it, to act on it, any direction that it gives us. In source energy, there is nothing too big. There is nothing too big. In fact, there's no big and small. There's just creating. There's just a new experience. That's it. Now, once we understand this and have awareness of this, that through grace, we can receive any quality of source that we need in that moment. That it is giving itself to us. It's saying, here, take what you need. Do you need commitment? Do you need persistence? Do you need strength? Do you need courage? I have this for you. Here it is. Just take it. Just open your hands and scoop it up. It is there. That through love, anything that we want, love is what planted the seed of that desire in the first place. So it will handle the how of how we get that. Love will handle it all. I believe it was Meister Eckhart. I just thought of this as an afterthought, but I believe he says something like, when the soul wants an experience, she throws an image of that out in front of her and steps into it. Isn't that beautiful? Do you know that's what we do? We create something through thought. It creates a spiritual prototype in divine mind. And we step into that. That's what we step into. So we trust and act on that spiritual guidance. We do our affirmative prayer, and we act on whatever it is we receive through that. Treat and move your feet, right? I used to try just treating and waiting for somebody else to do the work. That didn't work out very well. just like never. It never does. So when we have understanding of grace being any quality that we could be, plenty of it, right here, right now, all we have to do is reach out for it, that love is what's planting the seeds of those happy outcomes that we desire, and it will handle all of it. Now we have a new understanding, which means we have a new set of responsibilities. I remember when I first heard about the complaint-free program through Unity Church back in 2007, and I went through the complaint-free program, and what I learned was that complaining, every time I stated a complaint about anything, it took me a step away from my happy outcome. And so after I went through that program, I know now, all right, if I complain about something, it'll take me away from my happy outcome. Do I want to live with those consequences? And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But we haven't. With great power comes great responsibility, right? Once we know, we can't unknow. I know from the movie The Matrix, I always wish I could keep track of the red pill and the blue pill, right? One of those pills is like you learn everything, but you can't unknow it. The other pill is you forget you ever were trying to learn anything and you just go back to your happy life, right? Of smallness. That's what we do. All right, we receive a great gift being here, or just being on this planet. We are receiving such a gift, and in turn we have to give that gift. We can't just receive and hold on to it, because it's got to have somewhere to go, right? So we can keep moving. So now we give. Now we give. That's the second part of this. How do we do that? Do you know that your presence on this planet is the gift? The presence on this planet, because you're giving to the world through your presence. And your presence is reflecting your thoughts and your beliefs. So you're radiating out something. So here's where we want to ask, am I being a shining example, or am I being a horrible warning? What am I radiating out into the world? Everything that has ever been created has started with a thought. A thought creates the spiritual prototype in divine mind. And as we keep feeding energy into that spiritual prototype, we're making it greater in our own lives. We're seeing it. Right? It moves from just being in divine mind to being in our physical life. So every thought we have, do we want more of that in our life? is, maybe if we're thinking about resentment, we don't really want more resentment in our life, but are we thinking playfulness? Are we thinking abundance? Are we thinking belonging and connection? Well, that we do want more of. We would love to have that created more in our lives. I know I would. So we look, that's what we're radiating. What are we feeling? What are we thinking? That's what we're giving to the world. We tend to dwell on things, or we focus on things. So when we're focusing on something, it's related to our happy outcome or some form of goodness. When we're dwelling on something, the term dwelling implies something that is bothering us. So if we're dwelling on something, it's the tough times or it's the hardships we're experiencing. And I know I often tend to dwell on where I'm struggling instead of refocusing on my happy outcome. Now I found this is kind of interesting, just a little weird tidbit, but the Old English definition of dwelling is to lead astray, to hinder, to delay. Now if we're dwelling on something, it's something that bothers us, and that's delaying our happy outcome. That is hindering our ability to draw our happy outcome. It's leading us astray. Leading us astray. So are we embodying light? Are we walking in light? Are we embodying goodness, gladness, happiness, abundance? Or are we embodying something else? Are we shrinking from the light? Are we worrying about what other people might think? Are we stuck in this feeling of limitation, like, oh, I couldn't really do that? Now I'm going to read a Marianne Williamson quote. We've all heard it probably a bunch of times. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine. Shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just some of us, it's everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. We were created to do that. That's what we were created to do. We're created to shine. We are created to express those divine gifts. We're created to walk in light as the light. We are created to embody love and have new experiences. We were not created to think small. That's why it doesn't feel good. We were not created to feel limited. That's why it doesn't feel good. It's not in alignment with our divine nature. I just want to reaffirm something that Frankie read to us from Clarissa Pencola Estes. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Some people think we're in a stormy world right now. And so we think about, what can I do? We could stand up and show our souls. We could accept that we are a divine being in a body. We could focus on the awareness of who and what we really are. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. If you would help to calm the tumult, this is one of the strongest things you can do. One of the strongest things we can do is to receive our gifts. The strongest things we can do is to have awareness of the grace that is giving itself to us, that is saying, take whatever you need, because I've got anything you could imagine, and all that you can't imagine. It's right here for you. One of the strongest things we can do is to let ourselves experience love wanting to create through us. Experience that love, planting the seed of inspiration. The passion that we feel as it moves through us, for us, as us. The direction it gives us. We follow it. We act on it. We act on what love is guiding us to do. It's its responsibility to get us there, but it's our responsibility to say yes to it. It is our responsibility. And that is what you were made for. And so it is.